Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crime and Entertainment. I have here a very special guest. Please welcome to the show, Lou Balestrieri. Lou, how are you, my friend?
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Now, listen, we had a conversation last week. I was actually on the way back from New York. We spoke Sunday night, and you kind of gave me a little overview of your life. And I want to shout out first William Steele from A&E's Inmate to Roommate. He kind of told me a little bit about your story. I got a chance to view a film that you're working on, or a documentary film that you're working on. I'll give you a chance to talk about that in a little bit because we'll get into your story. But man, you got an amazing backstory and where it led, because we've had a lot of organized crime guys on the show. And one thing they say when you're coming up, especially in New York, most people become, one or three things. You either become a cop, a fireman, or a criminal. Now
That's
you had
correct.
brushes with two out of those three.
Correct.
It's your first time on the show. I'm sure we'll have you again. But since it's your first time, man, let's kind of start from the beginning. Give us a little bit about your upbringing, where you grew up, who was around, that type of thing, and we'll kind of work our way forward.
Okay. I'm 66 years old.
Mhm.
I was born in Park Slope, Brooklyn. I lived on 19th Street between 6th and 7th Avenue. That area was primarily, I won't say controlled, but inhabited by Colombo and Genovese crime family members.
Mhm.
My dad's family was full of cops and organized crime guys. My dad actually had a real godfather from Sicily who was married to my grandmother's sister. And he spent a lot of time in jail. When he got out of jail, my dad and my grandfather picked him up. And upon leaving the jail, upstate New York, when Sing Sing or one of those places are, they took him right to a Cadillac deal. He got himself a brand new Cadillac. It was waiting for him. So the guy had a tremendous amount of power. Nobody asked. He didn't talk about certain things. Next door to my dad was a cousin of his, and he was a bookmaker. And at 5, 6 years old, he used to give me a brown paper bag around 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon and say, take this from Uncle Jim and bring it to Uncle Mike. Everybody was my uncle. I didn't know if they were my uncle or not, but I called everybody my uncle. So I took the bag down to Uncle Mike. He waved, and I got $5. I was running numbers without knowing it.
Right.
Because who would suspect a little kid from running numbers? Okay. Mm-hmm. From there, at around 6 or 7 years old, I moved to East New York, Brooklyn. East New York, Brooklyn, where I lived, was a very prominent area for not much. Paul Vario was in the area. Right. Who's a Lucchese guy. There was Bonanno guys in the neighborhood. There was Gambino guys in the neighborhood. And I rubbed shoulders with a lot of these guys' kids. Now, I went to grammar school not knowing who these kids were. And they would say, like, hey Johnny, how come, where's your father? How come your father never comes to the film festival or whatever? He's working,
Mm-hmm.
In reality, the guy was in prison. This was a very, very heavy-duty, prominent, organized crime guy. And then these people had cousins, and all the cousins were related to more organized crime people. Mm-hmm. From there, I go to Christ the King High School, which was in Middle Village. Christ the King High School was dominated by kids from Howard Beach, okay, and other parts of Queens. And I won't say the majority of them, but many of them were organized crime kids. And these are the guys I start banging around with. Some of these guys have grown up to be capos in certain families. Okay. I don't know if you've heard of Crazy Joe Gallo.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Crazy Joe's nephew was a friend of ours. We banged out with this guy because he's now passed on, but a great guy. We had the best times with these people. Now I'm really no different than any other Italian kid in the neighborhood. we all knew people. If you grew up in an Italian neighborhood, this is the way things were. If you had a problem, you really didn't call the police. You went to the local club, a bar, or whatever, and you spoke to somebody who took care of that problem. This was very, very explained in The Godfather. When the day his daughter got married, people came in to see him and asked him for favors, and he had to grant favors and so on and so forth. But that was true to life. I knew that to be.
A lot of self-policing then in that neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay, you're in a solid Italian neighborhood. The wise guys took care of the street. When I grew up in East New York, we had a borderline. The black guys weren't allowed past that borderline. And we didn't go into their territory. If they came on down the block in our area, they got hit. It's just the way it was. If you went down there, you got hit.
Yeah.
But there was that mutual street respect that kept everybody in check. Is it right? No, but that was the rules of the street, and that was the way life was. So from Christ the King High School, I move out to Long Island to get a better life. So we go out there. Little do I know, Massapequa, Long Island is full of organized crime people. One of them was Carlo Gambino.
Yeah.
Next to Carlo Gambino was another very big, prominent capo underneath him. There was also a guy living in Massapequa. He's now passed on. His name was Roy DeMeo. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I have. Yeah. Murder Machine. Yeah.
Yeah, Murder Machine. And I got to meet his son. I knew his daughter. Not well, I didn't go to dinner with them, but I got to meet these people. Right. Going out to Long Island, I walked into a mall out there, and I befriended the guy. We had a few words, an argument. He was much older than me. I was 16. He was 21. And I knew he wasn't one of the, I was out there, leather jacket, pinky rings. This is the way I grew up. This is what I knew. And this guy had his hair cut back. It didn't look like one of the Long Island guys with long hair and leather jackets, motorcycle jackets with, work shoes. And we had a bit of an argument. And next time I saw him, we made amends. And he was a nice guy. He offers me a spot to work in this pizzeria as a counterman. And this guy was like my big brother. I loved the guy. Still do. And little do I know, one of the partners in that pizzeria was a prominent organized crime guy whose name I prefer not to mention. He's now passed on. I didn't know this guy. He wasn't out killing people. He was a moneymaker. He was working in unions and so on and so forth.
Hence the pizzeria, because a lot of those guys love businesses like that predominantly probably building cash, and that's a way to watch
business. It's a cash business. Okay, you could funnel money to it very easily. Yeah. Nobody could tell you how many slices you sold during the week or whatever. But that was not my concern. Mm-hmm. So I'm working there, and as the mall grew, people got to know who we were. Now I didn't know who I was. But as I started to hear who I was, I started to slide along those apron strings. And I said, what the hell? We get more and more guys working in the pizzeria. And some of them are the wise guys' nephews. And everybody comes and hangs out there because everybody knows what the place is all about. The cops love to come there and talk to us. But, we weren't paying off cops or... Nobody was getting shaken down. It was a business. Right. But in the mall, everybody had to come to eat at some point in time. And we started to meet other people. And then we eventually, the young guys, not the wise guys, not the big boss, we started to do things and control the mall. We had a lot of things going on where we made money. One of the things were we had a guy that would, when he got a bad credit card, okay, guy comes in the store, he orders this, that, and every other thing, and he it's not, Tommy Spumoni is on the credit card and the guy is Tyrell. He's not.
Yeah.
So this guy would say, listen, if you got ID showing that this is really you, the guy would say, well, no. Okay, well, listen, it's a bad card. I know it's a bad card. Take a walk. I'm going to turn him back. You run. And he'd make believe he's calling the police. He'd make believe he's going to run the card. And you had to get a code or whatever the hell they had to do way back then. And the guy would run. What this guy would do now, he's the manager of the store. Hey, go call upstairs. He go, your shoes are ready. Okay. And we'd go run down and bang out the card. Everybody got new suits. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody else got a bad card, we get sneakers or whatever we had to do. We had all of these things going on, and we were shaking and moving. And I was one of the guys that would start the ball run. If you came in, hey, wait, where do you work? You work over there. Are you corrupt? What? Well, are you corrupt? Okay. Do things ever fall off the truck where you are? And we start the conversation. If I didn't feel you out and it wasn't good, I'd let you go.
Right.
But,
you don't continue the conversation.
we had truck drivers. We had guys going to there was a movie theater. We had guys going to the movie theater with cases of the big bottles of soda, not bottles. They use the tanks of soda.
Yeah, the big canisters.
Yeah, they were falling off the truck. Okay, the guys who would come in with the tomatoes and this and that. Are you corrupt? What do you mean? Do you ever find anything? What do you mean? Well, if you find, we catch.
Yeah.
So we had everybody. I'm going to say on the payroll, but it's not on the payroll. But I used to take home garbage bags full of popcorn that fell off the truck. We'd have enough popcorn for a year. Whatever, candy bars, whatever we could get, we took. And that's what the deal was. And then
you can usually spot the guys that'll play ball with it. Like you said, within the first couple of seconds or minutes of the conversation, you're able to pick up if they're going to be a ball player, if they're straight laced.
Well, these are organized crime ways that I learned to manipulate people. I learned everybody's got a price. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got a weakness. If I find your price and your weakness, I control you. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, it was just, I have guys come in and say, how much for this ring? I assume, I'm making this assumption. Black guys were doing burglaries or whatever. They come in, how much for this ring? Oh, show me the ring. Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. We had somebody in one of the jewelry stores. I say, hey, buddy, how much for this ring? I'll give you 100 for it. Okay, I take that, run upstairs, give the guy $50, put 50 in my pocket. 3 weeks later, that ring it was all cleaned up. It was in the show window for 400. Mm-hmm. So everybody was happy, and this was going on constantly. We were shaking and moving. I made a lot of money. Not a lot of money. I wasn't a multimillionaire, but at 21 years of age, I had a brand new Lincoln.
Right.
And who do I buy the Lincoln from? A connection who was one of the prominent auto guys in Brooklyn. His name was Patrick Testa. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
That's Phil Testa's brother.
No,
not Phil Testa.
Joey Testa.
Joey Testa, yeah.
Testa and Anthony Center were the Gemini twins.
Correct. Yeah. I was getting the other Testa from Philly confused with it. Yeah, the Gemini. I think they just got out, or one of them.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. So, every place I turn, I knew somebody. I got a guy. Do you hear the expression? I got a guy. I got a guy.
Oh yeah.
I got a guy. You got a guy. My friend Tony Gaga. You got it for me for $3, $4. We who do we know? Let me see Tony Biangoul. Let's see what he could do for you. And that's the way it was. That's the way we worked. That's the way we operated. So I got myself a brand new Lincoln. We used to go to all the clubs on Long Island, and our people knew the guy who ran all the clubs. So we had these gold cards, and the only way to describe it is if you saw Goodfellas, how Henry Hill walked into the clubs and this and that. Mm-hmm. We did the same thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, it was crazy. I had my Lincoln, and my Lincoln was like a how could I put it? A rolling motel. Okay. And, we used to do things in the car. We'd take the girls down to the beach or whatever. Now, I didn't want to ruin the back seat of my car, so I used to have a lambskin rug.
Would
Okay.
you have the velour?
Yeah, it had the red velour. It was a silver with red velour. It was like when I moved the seats forward, it was like being in a living room. In the trunk of my car, I had an ice chest with bottles of wine, and you had to see what this was all about. Women were like, forget about it. So, God rest her soul. My mom passed away. I love her. She used to go, but what do you do with this lambskin rug in your car that you got to wash it 3 times? I say, Ma, you don't understand the dust. I want to keep it nice and clean. And being the good Italian mom that she was, she go, okay, all right. And I had to keep my lambskin rug clean. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to get the back seat dirty. That's a true story. It's the way it is. You can't make that up. So anyhow, I decide I'm going to get engaged and get married. Okay. So now my father's a cop. My ex-father-in-law, may God rest his soul, was a retired detective. And I decide that I have to, I can always do what I'm doing, but I should get something that has better benefits and, because doing the shaking and moving, the pension plan isn't good.
Yeah.
I had a very, very close call where I had a 30-foot ladder, as crazy as it sounds. It fell off the truck. I caught it, and the guy who made it fall got caught. Mm-hmm. Now, they came to me, and I don't know nothing about nothing, but this poor bastard, I believe he got 7 years for stuff that he was doing, but he was working with us also. Right. Okay. He was a shaker in a movie. He was real good. So I said, listen, that was too close for comfort. So I start looking for jobs, and I wound up working for an insurance company. While I'm in the insurance company, what comes out of me? The same old ways. Okay. Now, I don't know if you know anything about buying insurance, but when you are a certain age or you're taking a certain face amount of insurance, what you have to do is they send you for a medical.
Right.
Okay. So where you make a lot of money is in the business marketplace, where you are using life insurance as a funding vehicle, especially for what's called buy-sell agreements or cross-purchase buyouts. You and your partner own $1 million company. If you die, his wife becomes your partner. You don't want that. So the corporation owns a policy on both of you, and it's all pre-stipulated. If you pass away, your wife is bought out of the company and your partner gets the whole company. It's all done with an attorney and this and that. But life insurance is the funding vehicle. So now you got these big policies, and these guys are usually like in their 50s, 60s or whatever. The guy's got 3 teeth in his head. He smokes, he drinks. You can't, he's in bad shape. I can't even get him car insurance or insurance on his house. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you'd send the guy in, he'd take his blood pressure, and the blood pressure's 4,700 over 3,340. The guy's head's ready to blow off. So you go, okay, all right. He's not going to pass underwriting. You're not going to be able to write him. So you take that back, and we send out another Dr. Vinny Boombots, so to speak.
Yeah.
He goes, and in the paperwork, he's got a white envelope, and he takes the other guy did the left arm. He does the right arm. 110 over 70. Beautiful. Guy's very healthy. He must have took his pills that day. Mm-hmm. The policy gets issued. Everybody's happy. Eventually, he passes on, and everything goes, But and then in the meantime, we get 55% commission on these cases, which is nice. Okay, but once again, you had to talk to these people. Are you corrupt? Yeah. You had to find that. You had to find that. If these guys were real good doctors, they wouldn't be working for an insurance company. So that was, there's the weakness right there. And you had to key in on that. Another thing I used to do was Mr. Wade, you're the benefits consultant for this company with 5,000 employees. Okay. Who other than yourself makes the final decisions in this matter? I do. Oh, okay. Beautiful. I think we should take you to lunch. I want to explain. Take you to lunch. Nice place in Manhattan. Then from there, you go to a whorehouse, and we get you taken care of. You're happy, and you kind of wanted to do business with me then.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing?
You softened me
I'm
up.
finding your vice. I'm finding your weakness. This is all things that I learned how to do. All right, so I leave there. I go to work for another company, and it happens to be Aetna, and I didn't do property and casualty insurance, which means I didn't do insurance policies on cars and homes and that kind of stuff. But what I learned how to do is talk to the adjusters. Okay, and let's just say you came to my house and I had a broken window that has to be repaired from a snowball fight or whatever. I would say, how you doing here, my friend? What do you need today? A new hat? New pair of shoes? And they'd look at you. I said, you heard me. A new hat or a new pair of shoes? And they go, what are you talking about? I said, let me see your pen. I want you to use this pen. Okay, see this pen here? It's got a lot of ink in it. Okay, so you get a new hat and a new pair of shoes if you continue to write. Now, from that broken window, I got a new roof, 2 bathrooms, and my basement got redone. Yeah, you know what I mean? And when he left on his front seat, he got the white envelope. And everybody was happy. Now, this is all stuff I learned. I was taking the organized crime ways
and adapting it to other legitimate business.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. There's a movie coming out not too long from now called Silent Partners. And it's where some of the guys would get into the insurance business, taking over policies from people that were about to croak, basically, and they would get the payouts.
Listen, I had guys some guys would go into the office. You had to be there like 10 o'clock. They'd be there at 7:30 in the morning. What the hell are these guys doing? What they were doing is finding these old policies with old people, and they were stripping out the cash value by forging these people's names and taking policy loans. Let me tell you something about me. I would never rob. I would never hurt anybody that's in the same position as my mom and dad, same position as you.
Right.
It's just not who I was. We were stealing from Macy's and Gimbels.
Yeah, corporate America.
People that are stealing from us.
Yeah.
Okay. The people that could afford to take a hit are the people that we hit. That's the people we picked on. Mm-hmm. But insurance companies, very corrupt. It's a great thing to have.
I heard Walmart was even caught doing something similar to that. They were taking out policies on some of their elder workers. Like some of them without even their knowledge. And then they would cash in on them when they died.
It's a corrupt, it's a corrupt business. These people, there had to be a forgery in there somehow or another because these people have to sign and so on and so forth. But if you did 10 people for $10,000 and they didn't know it, that's $100,000.
Yeah.
And that's, this scams up the yin yang that you could.
And that's interesting how you parlay that, because that's so true. Things that you learned on the streets, being around wise guys and guys in the life, you can put those in any aspects of corporate America. There's always a way to bend the rules, to get the edge on. I mean, there's just always a way. And it's just a matter of, you taking those and parlaying it into something else.
You know who Sal Palizzi is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Sal's a great guy. Okay. I befriended him recently. Unbeknownst to me, he knows many members of my family who are in that same life. Not many, but one particular one. And we're talking. I'm going to meet him next week at the Mob Summit. And he says, I used to love to do truck heists. I says, yeah. I did 2 truck heists when I was 12 and 13 years old. He looked at me. Now, I didn't go out and pull a stick up, okay? This is a true story. It's around I was 12, 13 years old, 1970, 71, 72. I'm sitting in my backyard, and a truck goes flying by. And behind that truck is a police car. And it's lights and sirens, and these guys try to make a turn, and they miss the turn. They hit the sidewalk. They can't go anymore. They're in front of a parking lot. Two black guys jump out of the truck, and then they take off. Behind them are two cops that are chasing them as well. So, we're looking. The back door of the truck is open. I go to the truck, open it up. Racks and racks and racks of ladies' pantsuits.
Oh, boy.
Right into my garage. When things cooled down next week, I was a pantsuit salesman. They were $40 each, and I sold them to the women in the neighborhood for $10. They would come in and buy my pantsuits. And the word traveled like crazy. And, as sad as it sounds, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I thought I made a score, and I was helping people out in the neighborhood. That was the mentality I had because I didn't know any better. Another time, my father comes home from work, and he goes, I got caught in traffic. So what happened? A truck turned over. It took me a half hour to get around. What kind of truck? It was a sod truck. Sod truck? Okay. I go across the street. I get Frank the Guinea, guy from Sicily. He's got a big dump truck. Frankie, let's go. Where are we going? He was older than me. I said, come on, we're going to go find this truck. We go there. We load the truck up with all the sod, and everybody got new lawns that summer. I thought I was doing something good. You know what I mean? I'm selling you a lawn at a discounted price.
Yeah.
Everybody was happy. And I was a superstar. But that's the mentality of the way the neighborhood was. Joey's got TV sets. Where do you get them? I fill up a truck. We go buy TV sets from whatever. That a lot of stuff came out at the airport. We could get stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. So in those types of situations, I'm sure there was guys that probably got a few on the arm just to let you guys operate and do what you're doing.
No, they didn't know.
You guys are running drugs or anything like that. You're doing the above stuff that they're not going to crack down on anybody about.
No, we didn't have to. Well, I can't say when it was in the mall, we made sure that, we passed it around. Mm-hmm. My father got, we did a members only thing. Remember the members only jackets?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Members only.
Okay. We had a little something go on there, and we wound up with a whole bunch of members only jackets. Mm-hmm. And my father got one, my father-in-law, the bosses, everybody got you. And then there we are in the nightclubs. Everybody's got members only jackets. We're dancing around like superstars. It's just what happened. It's just what we did.
And because like back in the day on the cutting edge of when like CDs were first being burned, and then when DVDs first started being burnt, I was kind of like you. I was a mover and a shaker, and I would get them, and we would go to the drag strip on Wednesday nights, and the bootleggers would be posted up at the drag strip, and they would have the movies and the CDs about a week or so before they ever hit the stores. Because the stores, back when DVDs and CDs were still a thing, right? And it was popular, they would have them in the store a week before. But you know what? A box of them goes missing. It gets out to the general public. Bop, 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 bop. Then people have them, to sell. So I would buy them from them, which was a week early. Then I would go straight to the barbershop and give them a copy. Here, put this in the barbershop, play it. Anybody wants a copy, you let me know. They let me know, hey, I need, 5 out of this, 5 out of that. Get them around there. And it was great because even people that were doing what I was doing couldn't compete because they weren't getting it as quick as I was.
I call it opportunist criminals.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
I didn't plan anything out.
Yeah.
I wasn't holding up people with a knife or a gun. Something happened and you capitalized on it.
Right. Capitalized on the opportunity. Yeah. So where did you go after the second insurance job?
I wound up working down on Wall Street for an insurance company. Now, you got to picture me. I'm 26 years old. I'm the assistant to vice president of sales.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching mutual fund salesmen how to sell life insurance. And they were paying me 3% of the total amount of commissions paid for all of the people that were underneath me. I had several officers that I was working with. Right. But I always felt like the next day was I was making about $35,000 a year, which in 1982, 83 was pretty decent money.
Heck yeah.
Okay. So I get a phone call on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and he says, listen, if you're interested in the job with the police department. Now, I had taken a lot of tests and this and that because I was trying to be nice. I found God or whatever, and he called me and he says, "Go down to Brooklyn College." It was either Thursday or Friday morning, and then 7/16/84, I got sworn in as a cop, and I became a cop. And I loved it. I used to hear my dad and his brother telling stories about, oh, we did this, we did that. We chased this guy up the fire escape. And we had, it was very exciting. And I said, I got to do this. This is nice. And my dad worked with Frank Serpico. He worked in those days, up in Harlem. And he did a lot of good things. And I learned a lot about being a cop from my dad. My dad and I can't put a light bulb in together without throwing hammers at each other, and we MF each other to death. And then they go, you coming for dinner? Yeah, okay, I'll bring you Italian bread. But that's the relationship we have. Right. If he puts a screw in the wall, he uses a screwdriver that's broken from 1910. Hey, Dad, I bought you this beautiful DeWalt. We don't work with that anymore. What do you know? Okay, but old timer. Taught me a lot of things, taught me how to be a cop. One of the things he told me is you never say anything to anybody that you don't want the captain of internal affairs to hear. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You had to totally change your mindset of how you were to how you're going to have to be now.
It's okay. No. My mindset was still the same. Okay. Because I control the controllers. I knew how to manipulate. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I became a cop. I was 26 years old. A lot of guys were 20 years old. They couldn't wait. I got my gun. I'm Roscoe. They called it Gun Roscoe. They had a name for their gun. I didn't say nothing. I just watched. I looked. I watched how things operate. I'm looking for weakness. I'm looking for the guys who are in control, because those are the guys I got to get to.
Okay, so you're still going in with that.
You have
just
to
play a mindset there. Okay,
it's the same mindset. So, go to the police academy. I knew enough. You never do great. You don't want to be the last instrument in the band. You got to lie someplace in the middle. No attention. You duck, weave, and bob. And I was on the job. I got to went through the academy, graduated. It's all beautiful. Okay, it's probably other than my kids being born, going through the police academy I had tears in my eyes. It's one of the most tremendous things I've ever done. It was a real big sense of accomplishment. Mm-hmm. So, in the New York City Police Department, the city is broken down into what's known as boroughs. There's Manhattan North, Manhattan South, Brooklyn North, Brooklyn South, Queens North, Queens South, the Bronx, and Staten Island. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, I got put into the borough of Manhattan South, which encompassed 59th Street down river to river, which included the 1st, 5th, 7th, 9th, 13th, 17th, Midtown North precincts and Midtown South precincts. That's the hub of, that's where everything goes on. We got Wall Street, we got Midtown, we got 42nd Street, and so on and so forth. Now, every borough had what's known as a dumping ground. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's for the cops that were the problem children. They could be, what the rubber gun squad is?
No, I've never heard that term.
Guy who's a drunk, they take his gun away. He's part of the rubber gun squad. So, where do they stick him? In the 7th precinct. All right. Nobody cares. Okay, cops would come to work in uniform, wearing brown pants or brown shoes. Nobody bothered them. They were just happy you came to work, because they're either lunatics or some guys were drunks. Some guys did stupid things. And when you get jammed up, they send you to the dumping ground. Where do I start? I come out of the police academy. I start in the 7th precinct, which is the dumping ground. I can't go. There's no lower. I can't go any lower. So the only place I could go on this job is up. And things were very, very loose, because in a prominent precinct, where you're dealing with, a nice neighborhood, you can't get away with a lot of things.
Right.
It would I had a guy come into, this is a true story. He came into work and he had a blow up doll. He turns out, he did it for a joke, of course, with a blow up doll. And he rode around with the blow up doll in his radio car all day long. Just, guys were just absolutely insane, insanely crazy. We used to, an 8 to 4 and you were doing a 4 to 12. What would happen is I bring, at the end of my tour, I make sure it's gassed up. Make sure the car's nice and clean. You take the newspapers out. If you ate in the car, you take all the food out. It's a courtesy. I'm giving it to you. And what we had this one guy that did this, and we did things back and forth to each other. You go to one of the bodegas, and these old Spanish ladies would wear this powder. I swear, the only way to describe it is it smelled like lilac douche. Okay? Now, what this guy would do, it's disgusting. Okay? What this guy would do, he'd open up the vents on the car. Okay? And he would pack the vents with the lilac douche. All right? And he would say, listen, I got the car clean today. I got air fresheners in it. It looks beautiful. Okay? And you go, oh, thank you so much. You get in the car. He put the air conditioner on high. All right? You start the thing up. Boom. You're all white now with the lilac douche. And now you had to go home and explain to your wife why you smell like that. Okay? It was just, that's the way cops were. You get in the car, you start to drive away, you stop at the first stop sign, and a dildo would roll out from underneath the seat. There's a guy just playing with you, or they put it in your personal car. That was just crazy stuff. I put a live chicken in this guy's car one time. He used to have a big Cadillac that he used to take out, and he used to take his, whoever he met, he went to the submarine races or whatever with the girls down by the East River, and he used to be in the back seat. So one of the things he used to do is if you had did you ever see a locker? Oh yeah. Okay, they got the vents in it. We used to take off our tie and hang it on the inside of the locker. Okay, because it had the clip. What he would do is he'd take a coat hanger, put it inside the locker, and pull the tie out, and then take a scissor and cut it. Now you got everybody in the squad has got a tie that's this big. You turn out a roll call for an inspection, and you got no tie. Okay, so a lot of ball breaking going on. Oh my God! So he did something, and I said, okay, no problem. I took I Slim Jim his car. We went into the car, took out his rear seat, hid it in the garage, and threw a live chicken in the car. Had the windows open a little bit. You had to see what that car looked like. There was chicken shit all over the place.
I was about to say, I know it smelled, man.
But that's the mentality of cops. This is what kept you sane, okay? Because you develop a very warped sense of humor, and this is your defense mechanism. I never drank. I don't do drugs. I was a very, very straight-laced cop. I throw beatings. Mm-hmm. Okay? I didn't tolerate anybody's nonsense because that's what I knew how to do. I learned this from my dad. Never mind, you see the cops today. Stop resisting. Please stop. Please stop. I tell you once. Okay? Once. And then I'd open your head. Yeah. You understood. Okay? I'm putting the handcuffs on you while you're standing up or while you're on the floor in a coma. The decision is yours. Choose wisely. That's the way I patrolled because I believed that fear equals compliance. The problem today is people don't fear the police. People don't fear an arrest. People don't fear the jail. People don't fear judges, and they have no respect. And your guy gets locked up. You put him in. He goes to jail for the weekend or whatever. He's hanging out with his homeboys. So it's like a reunion. You know what I mean? So nobody. You didn't want to get arrested. You didn't want to get arrested back in my day because although I didn't abuse my prisoners. That's not the. If I made an arrest and I had a prisoner and you hit him, I'm hitting you. Yeah. That's my prisoner. You don't disrespect my prisoner. I'm babysitting him. Okay, and you're not gonna. It's just not. I saw a lieutenant one time punch out a guy that was chained to the wall. I had to leave. It's not me. I wouldn't do it. I hit a handcuffed prisoner once, and once only. It was a female. I locked her up. She was a prostitute, a junkie, and a drug dealer. And she was in the precinct. We were going to take everybody down to Central Booking. I said, we treat them fair. All right, whoever's got to use the bathroom, use the bathroom. Otherwise, you can't do it till you go down to Central Booking. And she says, after she got cuffed, she says, I got to pee. I said, well, you're going to have to hold it until you get, I told you, you had the opportunity. She says, well, I'm going to pee all over your car. I said, okay, that's good. You could do that because then I'm going to clean it up with your face. Okay. So what does she do? She drops down on the floor. So I go to pick her up and she turns and she bit me and broke the skin. Now, this is in the time where AIDS was very prevalent. Hepatitis C was very prevalent. Now, the police department don't know how to handle us. I couldn't take her blood because it was against her rights. Later on, I think they figured out something where you get a search warrant to do it. But at the time, I couldn't do that. Now, this bitch bit me, okay? And I dragged her out by her arms. I had her handcuffed behind her back. I lifted her arms up real high, so she was very uncomfortable. I opened up the front door of the command with her head. She went down 3 or 4 stairs, picked her back up, opened up a second door with her head, and threw her down the stairs again. Then I opened up the car, and she got thrown in the car. And nobody said a word to me. Okay, the lieutenant on the desk saw me do it. He didn't say nothing. It's just this bitch bit me. Okay. And now from that, I had to go to the hospital. And for 10 years, every year, I had to get a gamma globulin shot to prevent hepatitis C. And I had to get an AIDS test because she bit me. Mm-hmm. I should have stuck my gun in her mouth and let her bite that. But that's the way it was, so
that's similar to a story. My grandfather was a cop, and I remember there was one time I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, and I'm listening to him and that's my mother's father who was the cop, and I'm listening to him talk to my dad's father. And so these 2 old timers were sitting at the beach. They're watching the waves roll in, and they're swapping stories back and forth. And I learned at an early age, my grandfather had a glass eye. My mother's father had a glass eye. I would watch him take it out and clean it and then stick it back in. It used to freak me the hell out. And he was telling him a story. He said, you know how I lost his eye? And my other grandfather's like, no. And he told him a story. He said they were doing a bust. They walked in. He was one of the first people in. The man had been beating on the woman, but she loved the dude. So they placing the guy under arrest. She's telling him not to. Next thing you know, she comes out with a BB gun. Boom, lets one go, shoots him right in the eye. And see, he goes down holding his eye or whatever. And he said, it was like, all right, get him out of here. They got him out of there. And he said they took the big, thick antennas on top of the radios. And he said they whipped the piss out of that girl and then blamed it on the guy. But I'm like, in that kind of case, man, I can't blame him for what they do. You put,
should have been dead. I would have shot her. She would have been dead.
Yep.
No question about it. Well, let me talk to you about shooting people. Mm-hmm. This is my claim to fame. I had 6 opportunities to take a human life, and I never did. And that's harder than shooting someone. Okay. I got to the point where I had pressure on a trigger from a 16-year-old kid. I was hiding behind a car. He pointed a loaded .45 at me. He was trying to shoot 2 other people. He came within a half a pound of pressure where I would have shot him right in the face. And I was shooting him in his upper lip. This would went right through his face and hit his brainstem. I would have killed him instantly. I didn't do it. And I'm happy that I didn't do it. Now, am I afraid to kill somebody? Absolutely not. I sit in a tree stand And at 100 yards, I watch a beautiful buck come out. He never said 2 words to me. We never had a drink together. He didn't curse at me. And I shoot that poor bastard. He falls down. I cook his legs. I cook his back straps. And then I cut his head off and put it on the wall. Can I kill a human being? No problem. What I can't deal with is the aftermath of what happens. What people don't know is you're using deadly physical force, and they're going to put me in front of a grand jury.
Mm-hmm.
And if they indict me, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with people that do not understand what it's like to be in imminent fear of your life, and you have to make a decision in a nanosecond. And that, if it's the wrong decision, you will pay for it for the rest of your life. Today, no matter what, you're going to get sued.
Yeah.
Everybody gets sued. It's sue happy. And I think that the judges should throw these lawsuits out that are frivolous.
Yeah.
But then again, who am I? You're committing. My dad was sued. A guy jumped in front of a train. Okay. At the last second, he decides he wants to get back up. He gets everything off the platform except his leg. His leg gets cut off from the bottom of his knee. My father got there. This is back in the 60s, early 70s. And he took his nightstick, the thong.
Yeah.
On the nightstick. Right. He wrapped it around the guy's leg above the knee. He saved the guy's life, but that part of his leg died.
Right.
My father got sued.
Trying to do the right thing.
Trying to do the right thing. So I was sued twice. I was indemnified. I acted within the scope of what I was supposed to do. And, I never did anything wrong. Okay. You couldn't buy me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You couldn't.
To speak on that, what you just said, how was the relation? Because I'm sure you probably still knew a lot of guys from the street and in the life or whatever. You didn't just cut ties completely, I'm assuming. Were you able to maintain those relationships, but do it in a respectful manner? How was that dynamic when you became a cop and they were still pursuing, the criminal aspects of life?
Some we always be friendly, but we couldn't be as close. And I didn't ask them what they were doing.
Right.
And they didn't ask me what I was doing.
Right.
Okay. Some guy said, yeah, he became a cop. He locked up his mother. Yeah. Okay, good. And I tell you what, if I locked you up and I caught you doing something wrong, I'd roll you and you'd be a rat. How's that? You know what I mean? So it's a respect thing. And one of the things that I always talk about is respect. Mm-hmm. The police department has no respect for its members. They will eat their own. Okay. Organized crime, to a point, the way it used to be, they maintain ultimate respect. I don't know how it is today. I'm out of that whole area now since 1997. But I'm sure there's, the younger guys are maybe a little different. I don't know. I don't really talk to anybody anymore. But
it's definitely changed from the heyday of the 70s, 80s, and up until the 90s. Obviously, when Sammy flipped, I think it really just changed the game and the landscape, and it became so easy. You had bosses flipping with Joe Massino, and I mean, it just really became. And I talked about this not too long ago with a guy on the show, Gene Borello. It almost became normal for guys to flip, when in the 70s and 80s, that was the worst possible thing you could think of in that life, was somebody doing that, was somebody, cooperating. And it to a point, it became normal.
I would never rat, whether it be a cop or a wise guy or whatever. I would never rat. When I was a cop, we pretty much policed ourselves. Cops police, because you don't want internal affairs. You don't want them to start looking at your precinct, because we were all doing things. I'm not saying I never robbed drug dealers. Mm-hmm. If God forbid you passed away in your house, there was $100 million there on the table. $100 million got vouchered for safekeeping. or I made sure your family got it. That just was not. That's not what I became a cop for. I became a cop to lock people up, and I was not going to be hypocritical by the way I policed. I never arrested anyone for DWI. Why? Because there's many a nights I drove home, 3 sheets to the wind. I parked my car on my neighbor's driveway and tried to get in his house with my key, and you have to tell me, no, you're at the wrong house.
I did that one time. The guy called me the next morning and asked me if I could move my car. And I'm like, that was my neighbor calling me, asking me to move my car from my driveway. I was like, what do you mean move my car? He said, yeah, you parked it in the driveway last night. He said, you tried to come in the house too, but I think you realized you were at the wrong house, or either realized the key wasn't working. I was like, really? And I come out and sure as hell, it's sitting over there in the neighbor's driveway. I'm like,
now, how can it, let me put it to you like this. If there was no property damage, you didn't kill anybody, and I teared you out, and I could give you a play, I gave you a play. I did it with a black guy. It was around Christmas time of 1985. I was working with a guy. We were driving a van. The guy came off the East River Drive, making a turn, and this guy made this turn real wide. And it was obvious that he was drunk. So I pulled him over. He was a black guy. He was in. He had a beautiful Buick Deuce and a quarter. I pulled him over. Hello, sir. How are you? Can I have your license, registration, insurance card? He had Jersey license plates in his car. So he opens up his wallet, and his pictures fall out. And I look, and what do I see? Pictures of him, his wife, his daughter. It's obvious his grandchildren. So I didn't see a black man that was drunk. You know what I saw? I saw my dad.
right.
Okay. And I said, where you come from? He says, I'm a vice president or whatever for Citibank. We had our Christmas party. I left a little early. I tipped a few, and I'm trying to sneak through Manhattan to get to the tunnel to go back to Jersey. I said, now I know. Now, just follow me. Christmas time, the month of December, cops, and this is a secret now that some people are going to get pissed off. I don't know if they do it anymore, but we did collars for dollars. We locked up the world. Why? Because I looked at you, and you know what? You're a new lampshade. You're a new toaster oven. You're a new Christmas gift. You're a new, you're a new hat and a new pair of shoes, because that overtime was going to go towards the Christmas gifts. So what the cops would do is we'd flood the system. So you could get stuck making overtime for 2 and 3 days, because the system, there was just not enough ADAs to hear your case and so on and so forth. Now, I know this guy, well-dressed black man, well-spoken, beautiful watch. I'm going to stick him in the cells with scumbags. Okay? And I'm going to ruin his life. And he doesn't look like he was a fighter or anything like that. He's going to have a hard time. Mm-hmm. And his family's going to be worried. And I'm going to make a lot of overtime. And in my heart of hearts, I believed that I wasn't doing the right thing. So I said to him, is anybody home at your house? And he said, probably my wife and daughter. I said, get out of the car. We went over to the phone booth, and I said, Mrs. Brown, my name is Police Officer Balestrieri. I have your husband here. He's not feeling well enough to drive. He's got a headache. He does not need medical care. He doesn't need an ambulance. He lost his keys. Is there any way you could get here and bring a set of keys for him? So I said, let me let you speak to your husband. Talked to the husband, and he assured her everything I said was the truth. And she said, oh, they're on their way. Okay, hung up the phone. I put him in the car. I said, give me keys. Opened up the trunk of the car. I said, you got a jacket on. You got a coat. Keep it on. It's going to be a little chilly maybe. I threw his keys in the trunk of the car and slammed them. I said, you have yourself a Merry Christmas. And I felt really good about doing that.
Yeah.
If I did it today, they'd lock me up.
Yeah, even in we were obviously in a smaller town, but I remember I was with a kid that I grew up with, and we were looking through these old photo albums, and I see my grandfather with that kid's dad and a few other ones, like all spread out on the car with their hands up, like they're being arrested or whatever, but they're laughing, they're getting a kick out of it. And I asked him, I said, you knew him? And he's like, yeah. He said, you know him? I said, that's my grandfather. He said, man, Esso was the best. His name was Sylvester Odell Robinson, but they called him Esso. And he said, Esso was the best. He said, if he ever pulled you over and you've been in the sauce, he said, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow you to your house. You're going to pull in, you're going to go in, and that's going to be your police escort for the evening. If I see you back out, you're going to have a 5-star stay at the local jail.
There you go.
I'm going to come back out of the house. And that was what he used to do.
You have to use discretion. I'll tell you another story, which gained me a lot of credibility on the street. I was pretty much a new jack. I worked in a unit where it was called Community Patrol Officer Program. I was just out of the police academy. I got drafted into this unit because the sergeant says to me, I will give you steady 4 to 12s with weekends off if you come and work for me. Now, this sergeant, nobody liked. I loved him. He took care of me because it's unheard of to come out of the police academy and not go around the clock.
Right.
So I'm going to have a normal lifestyle. What do you want, boss? Whatever. He says, if you can, give me 5 summonses a day. I'm in a shithole. I'm on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, which at the time is the heroin capital of America. There's drugs, crime all over the place. Very densely populated precinct. Now, mind you, I had 34 block faces to patrol by myself, and the majority of it was projects. So I had to walk in and out of these projects. If something happened to me, they would never find me. Okay. And I'm a brand new guy. And they said to me, you're the sheriff of this town now. You do whatever you want. So one night I'm walking back to the precinct. It's kind of late. And I see an old man exchange money with this guy. Now, as I approach, the guy takes off and the old man is still there. So I grabbed him. I figure he's a drug dealer. I pull him into a hallway, and I open up the bag, and in the bag is bundles and bundles and bundles of cash. And then I look to the side of it, there are bundles and bundles of white pieces of paper. He was a bookmaker. I don't know if he was taking the action. I don't know if he was doing the run. I don't know if I know nothing about it. Now, I knew what he had was wrong, but I didn't know how wrong it was, because when you go to the police academy, you don't study gambling and stuff like that. So now I'm a new jack cop, and I'm going to take this guy in front of the desk officer, who's a 92-year-old hairbag, and he's going to say to me, what do you got, kid? And I'm going to say, I don't know. I got an old man with a bag full of money. He's going to kick me in the ass. He's going to throw the man out. I don't know what I have. So I said to the guy, listen, papi, Spanish guy. I said, a casa, go home, vámonos. He looked at me and he said, God bless you. I let him go. Reason being, I didn't know who he was. If he lost that money and he was working for somebody much bigger, which obviously he was, what were they going to do to him for losing the money? What were they going to do to him for getting arrested?
At the very least, he's going to get a beating. At the very least.
Or his family. Okay? Organized crime doesn't hurt your family. These other people, it's a different story.
Right.
So I let him go. You know what? It's obvious he was working with some of the people that were on my post. Mm-hmm. Everybody that saw me smiled at me. They waved at me. Hello. It gave me a tremendous amount of street credibility. And what I tried to do was develop that credibility to let the good people there know that I was a very fair cop. I wasn't there to shake anybody down. On my post, it's very densely populated. It was we had some five-story tenements, 5-story houses rather. Now a guy comes home from work all day, whatever he's doing for work. He doesn't have a college education. He doesn't have a master's degree. He might be I don't know, a dishwasher or whatever. He's a hardworking slob trying to make money for his family. He comes home, he takes a shower, he grabs a beer, and he goes out in front of his building, and he sits down and plays dominoes. And yeah, they're blocking the sidewalk. The captain of the command, who's looking to get promoted, wants to clean the street. So he wants me to give everybody a beer summons, arrest these guys for obstructing pedestrian. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. Sorry. I got to understand that this guy doesn't have a backyard like I do. He doesn't have a swimming pool. He's sitting outside hanging with the guys. When I was a kid, I hung on the corner. Nobody broke our balls. You know, we hung out on what's known as a stoop.
Yeah, a stoop.
Okay. That's a term that you'd say to a kid today. They have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
So they knew I was a regular guy. Drug dealers didn't get a break. Drug buyers didn't get a break. They knew I was out there, and I told a story the other day. Somebody left. I had a little black kid call me Mighty Whitey. Okay, and that name stuck. But I was, if I knew, we had to give out summonses, and there's opposite. You have to switch your car. They got opposite side of the street parking because they had to clean the streets. If I knew your car was there, you were a guy in the neighborhood, I didn't give you a summons, even though you didn't move it. Because, how could I? I have a garage I kept my car in. Yeah. You got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to move your car to the other side of the street and look for a parking space. It's just not right. So, I had the power to warn and admonish, and I used it whenever necessary. I did some real good things, and I was also a martial arts guy. I've been doing martial arts since I'm 10 years old, and the people knew if I had a problem, I could throw down. I was very, very. I had to be who I was. I had, once you back down in front of a crowd, everybody's going to test you.
Yeah,
That's not who I was. I would tell you once. I carried a nightstick made out of Coca-Cola wood. And if I got close to you and I talked to you, listen, what are you doing here? I know you were you're looking to buy drugs. And, excuse me, what are you doing here? And you didn't understand. I lift the nightstick and crack you right in the crotch. Boom. Oh, you all right, sir? Did you step on something? Get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? Another thing I carried in my pocket was an ice pick. It got people's attention very quick.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, if I ever got caught with this, I'd be in serious trouble. We used to carry a blackjack or a slapper, which we weren't supposed to carry. But you take out your gun, you tell a guy you're going to shoot him, they laugh at you. But you took out the jack. They knew they were going to get you were going to open up their head, and they were going to go to the hospital. And we gave them what was called a Brooklyn party hat, which is a big turban. Okay. And you get a party hat. Yeah, you get a big Brooklyn party hat. And this is commonly known as you're getting a wooden shampoo. That's pure NYPD street lingo. Okay. This is what you had to do,
Tell me a little bit about the case that you got involved with one of your partners where y'all were basically investigating the garbage of some of the organized crimes. And I know there's a lot to unpack here. Yeah. But I want to kind of briefly go over that, and especially kind of the fallout, how you guys got kind of railroaded at the end of it, because I'm going to bring you back on along with your partner to kind of give a deep dive into that. But just kind of give us a brief overview of how you got involved in it, what the point of it was, then after it all got wrapped up, kind of what happened. And that's why you kind of have because I know sometimes you let it bleed through as we're talking, you have a real disdain for the NYPD, but yet you seem to enjoy your time there. I want to let people know why you have that feeling about the NYPD that you do.
Okay. From working where I worked my way from uniform into a plainclothes detail, which was known as anti-crime, when we were out there to prevent and deter violent street crimes in progress. Very dangerous job. From there, I worked my way into the narcotics division. I did narcotics work. Now, we were in plain clothes. I was not in an undercover capacity. People think because you're in plain clothes or you have a beard or whatever. No, that's not the way it works. It's a plain clothes capacity. Now, going into the narcotics division, I worked as a plain clothes investigator, and I was asked to do one particular case because I was Italian. I did a buy with a Sicilian guy, and it was successful. I bought 9 ounces of coke with another undercover. And then from there, I moved from Manhattan to Queens. And while in Queens, I got my detective shield. And they opened up a unit called HIDA, which was high intensity drug trafficking. And it was broken down into 3 teams: Colombians, Chinese organized crime with Asian heroin, and violent other street drug gangs. Now, when I went for the interview, working in the 7th precinct, I had to learn all about Asian organized crime because there was a big influx of Asians. So I learned, I did an intelligence paper, and that got me into this unit where I'm being interviewed by a lieutenant. And he said to me, he liked me, he wanted to pick me up. I knew everything about Asian organized crime. He said to me, "Are you interested in being an undercover?" I said, "Well, what's the benefit? I got my detective shield. Usually you became an undercover to get your detective shield." He says to me, "I'll make sure you get promoted." Okay. Now I become an undercover buying Asian organized crime. Now the role, buying Asian heroin from Asian organized crime guys, the role that I played was an organized crime guy's nephew that was selling heroin, not per se, but I had a black guy working for me out in the Hamptons on Long Island. He was selling my Asian heroin. Asian heroin is the finest heroin in the world. I was paying $6,000 an ounce for it. There's no better. It comes from the Asian triangle. It's not bought in kilos. It's bought in units. The price of Asian heroin, I was paying $6,000 an ounce. That's big jack money. Okay. Now, because I was paying that kind of money, I always had to worry about being ripped off.
Right. I know you got money.
Because I got money. And, and when you work these cases, you start off with a little bit and a little bit, a little bit. And then you start getting into the ounce range. I was buying 3 ounces at a clip, $18,000 in cash. That's a nice score for somebody who wants to rip me off. So I become this wise guy, and I'm working for this. I'm working in a joint federal task force. I had to take all of my identification from the police department, and I'm working under like a Donnie Brasco type situation. Mm-hmm. And this is a true undercover role. Okay, it's not just working in plain clothes. I had to walk the talk and play the game. So I'm there, and this lieutenant and I, we bump heads. All right, and I was going to give him a beating. That's what it came down. That's how bad it got. And he was trying to screw me, and I was jockeying for space. So what they do is they separate us, and they take me as my punishment and put me in a team of Italian organized crime, where the Italian organized crime guys were controlling the Italian bread industry. They were telling stores who they could buy the Italian bread from, and then the bread bakers were not allowed to sell to certain stores. It's restraint of trade. It's typical organized crime. That's how low they got into the Italian bread industry. So me and this other guy are working this, and we were 2 undercovers, and we were out all day out in the street. Nobody knew where we were. We're trying to get people to buy our Italian bread, and and I start catching them on. I record them telling me, "No, we can't. You got to join the association. The association is going to tell you what to do." Blah, blah, blah. So what are you talking about, association? Okay. Make a long story short, this case starts to take off. I start to do well. What are they going to have to do? They're going to have to promote me. So what do? They take me out of that team, and they stick me in a team which is known as the Bad News Bears. Okay? This is a team of guys that are very sharp detectives, that this team is the dumping ground for the unit. Okay? So I get stuck in this team, and we worked under the worst possible conditions. This team is investigating organized crimes control over the garbage private sanitation industry. All right? Everybody in the team hates each other. We're not getting overtime. We have 1 typewriter between 10 guys. We're working. We don't have a table to eat our lunch on. It was boxes tied together with tape on milk crates. And this Irish lieutenant who hated us did this to us. So now we're in this team, and the detectives were good. I get stuck working with this guy who's my partner. The first 3 weeks, we're riding together in a car. He don't talk to me. I'm looking out the window while we're 2 hours going from Long Island into Manhattan, stuck in traffic. This guy ain't saying 2 words to me. You know what I was like? It's crazy. So we're working in this place on Canal Street in Manhattan. We got wiretaps going, and I hated doing wiretaps. So finally, the ice is broken where him and I almost have a fight with a guy on the street, and I was going to choke him. He was climbing over me to hit him, and make a long story short, I said, listen, buddy, I'm very sorry. I don't know you well, but I'm going to let you know I'm going through a nasty divorce. I was just under a lot of stress, and I blew. He goes, you're kidding me. I said, nope. He goes, guess what? I said, what? He says, I'm going through a divorce too. Guess we become asshole buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that relationship is rock solid till today.
That's great.
He'll come on again, Vic Fiabani. He's my buddy. If you heard us talk, you'd think we hate each other. Okay. He's a big, tall Italian guy with a full head of hair. Look at me. Okay. You know, I'm a rock'em sock'em street thug. I nicknamed him Pretty. Okay. Have you seen him yet?
I've seen from the documentary. Yeah. Yeah.
He's pretty. And, you know, we make fun of each other. And I'll tell this quick story before we get into the case. And this is human nature. The first time we go out to do a surveillance together, now we're buddies now.
Yeah.
Okay. We go out into Brooklyn to do a surveillance, and we pull up to this place. It's a wise guy place. It's the Brooklyn Tradeways Association. You got to find a place, curveball place. Somebody goes to me, you want a drink? I said, yeah, give me a Sprite. So he goes out, he goes to the candy store or whatever, a supermarket. He comes back, gives me my Sprite. And what does he have? A Diet Coke. It's a grown man drinking a Diet Coke. I said to him, I'm saying, what's this guy? Fairy Mary over here drinking Diet Coke. So when I went out working in narcotics, you carried something called a battle bag. The battle bag had crowbars, extra handcuffs. You don't know what you're going to run into. Flashlight, whatever was going to come your way, you make sure, flex cuffs. You just don't know what's going to happen. You got to break down locks or whatever. You had to have a tool. So I got my battle bag with me. When I did another podcast, and I said I had a battle bag with a bazooka and hand grenades. I really didn't have that. That was a lie. I was just exaggerating what a battle bag was, because somebody said to me, "Do you know the damage you will do with a bazooka in the city?" I was like, "Oh my god!" But that's here nor there. All right, so I got the battle bag. It's in behind me. He carries an attaché case. He opens up the attaché case in front of him. What does he have in there? Toothbrush, nail file, toothpaste, comb, dental floss, cologne. Okay? He reaches in the back part of the case. He takes out a small bottle of Bacardi rum, like you get on the airplanes. Yeah. He pours himself a cocktail. I said, where did you work? He says, I worked in PMD, which is Public Morals Divisions, which everybody you would know as Vice.
Right.
Okay. He was also a card dealer from Vegas. Okay. I wouldn't play cards with him. He's a shyster. Okay. He counts cards, he palms cards, and we were playing 500 rummy when we weren't working. I was like, I ain't playing with this guy. Okay. I didn't trust him at all. So never said 2 words. Very quiet, tall. He's pretty now. Don't forget. So I said, where did you work? He said, Public Morals. I said, what'd you do there? I locked up hookers. So what do you mean you locked up hookers? The ones on the street? I said, no, I went into hotels. He says, I laid in bed in my panties. This is what he tells me. I laid in bed in my panties, and I had, a drink, a cocktail, and we call a hooker in, and she'd make me the offer, and I call the field team, and they lock them up, and then I do it again. I said, holy shit. I'm doing search warrants, fighting drug dealers, rolling on the floor. He's in hotels. I said, did you carry a gun? He said, sometimes. I said, do you have a gun now? He said, yeah, I got mine today. I said, listen, buddy, I don't know who you are, but do me a favor. You work with me, you carry a gun, okay? And that's a true story. He'll come on and tell you. Pretty. He wore me down. At the time, I had hair. And before we did anything, once a week, we had to go get our hair done. Okay? Swear to God. At one time, I had a long ponytail like Steven Seagal or whatever. We had to go get our hair cut once a week, trimmed. We went to the same barbershop called Astor Place, where all the movie stars went. All right. Another thing he turned me on to was he used to use this thing called Medex. He's going to laugh his ass off. The Medex was for his lips. He used to go keep his lips moist. He's pretty now. And what he used to do, I said, what is that stuff? He said, try it. I said, oh, this is terrific. Then what he did was he wouldn't let me use it, so he used to take it and put it on with his mouth. So he knows I wouldn't put my finger in it again. This is a true story. You come to my house, there's Medex all over the place. I got addicted to it. I got them in my car. I got them on they're all over the bathroom. They're all over. My wife uses it. He still carries the Medex, and so do I. So we became a marriage, and, it was fantastic. So now we're stuck in this team. It's the Bad News Bears. We're doing this big investigation that is growing by the day. And when we went into headquarters, nobody would talk to us. They wouldn't share information. It was horrible. Everybody hated the Bad News Bears. HQ, headquarters team number one. So the sergeant sits us down, who's a real nice guy. He's now passed on. And he says, guys, we got a fire-breathing dragon by the tail. This was his exact words. Now, either we're going to come together and we're going to do this case, or we're going to continue being the Bad News Bears. So we make a pact between all of us. We're all going to be spokes on the wheel. We have an undercover operation in place. It's a very covert, big operation. It's going on for years. And we wound up taking this case down. At the end of the case, I think it was a total of 32 organized crime guys were taken down, up to the rank of capo. 27 organized crime-related private sanitation companies. We squashed them. We put them out of business. We took all their stuff. At the end of the case, this is years later, the asset forfeiture was up to $271 million. Originally, I thought it was $300. I was corrected to say $271 million. A week after this case came down, if you saw our video, Operation Wasteland, Rudy Giuliani, and Bratton went to Washington, D.C. and got an additional $54 million for fighting crime in New York City, based on what we did. This was a big splash. Rudy Giuliani took all the credit for it. He had nothing to do with it. Now, while we're doing this case, the day we took it down, big press conference, we're in the DA's office. Everybody's high-fiving. Everybody's talking to us. This is nationwide. It's all over the news. Bill Bratton, the police commissioner, promotes the undercover. Rightfully so. He did a phenomenal job. He promotes the sergeant. Rightfully so. He was the brains of the operation. He promotes the lieutenant, a complete numbnuts, who was a hindrance every step of this case. He wouldn't give us the right time of day. There were times where he would take us away from the case and put us out in uniform. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. He just screwed us beyond screwed us. Okay. Making this story a little bit short, because I could go on forever. We're supposed to get promoted. We took the case down in June. September, the promotion's supposed to come through. Now, there was 10 of us, detectives, and what happens is Bill Bratton has an argument or whatever with Giuliani. He leaves the department. Giuliani, the narcissist, vindictive human being that he is, squashes all the contracts. So none of us get promoted. Okay, the lieutenant, who was our lieutenant, didn't take us and say, "Hey, go to the chief or this or that." Say, "Listen, these guys got to get promoted. Look at this. Look at what happened." Instead, they threw a monkey wrench into the works, and the commanding officer, another Irish guy, and I can tell you that the Irish bosses didn't like the Italians. What happened was they never fought for us, and none of us got promoted.
Wow.
I was heartbroken. All right. In the middle of that case, I had gotten hit in the elbow by a jalousie door. It took the tip of my elbow off and it crushed my ulnar nerve. So I knew I had a total of 3 surgeries on this arm. I lost 30% use of it. I knew that we were getting screwed. I said, you know what? I applied for a disability pension. Now, that was the 3rd time I was supposed to get promoted within that police department. And the police department, they couldn't shoot me. I had the reputation of being a boss fighter. I wasn't a boss fighter. I'm just a man, okay? And I don't care if you had stripes, stars, bars, eagles, aircraft carriers on your shoulders. I don't care. You talk to me nice, I talk to you nice.
Right.
Because I'm just not afraid, okay? You're going to respect me, and I'm going to respect you. First, we're men. And that's the way I was. So they couldn't control me, and that made me a boss fighter. And I left that job in the lowest rank of detective, got injured, had to fight them to get off the job and fight them to pay my medical bills. There was a line of duty injury. After the case, several years later, they were going through, I was already retired. I was going through the prosecution phase. They reached out to me and said, "We want to take you back. We want you to testify on the search warrants that you did." I said, "Okay, I'm a civilian now. What do you pay civilians?" And they said, $1,200, $1,500 a day. That's big money. "I'll be there 6 months if you want me." They called me back a few days later. They said, "We can't pay that." "All right, what could you pay me?" "We'll pay for your parking and we'll pay for your lunch." Very generous. Hung up the phone. I owned a house upstate New York. I moved on paper to upstate New York. I was going back and forth, so they couldn't find me. And I know they weren't going to send anybody up there. It gets back to me again that the judge on the case told the district attorney's office to tell the police department that they're going to find me. And when they find me, they're going to stick me in jail. And I'm going to stay in jail for a contempt of court order. And they're not letting me out until I decide I'm going to testify. So now I was an alleged hero cop. And now I'm a wanted man. Yeah. And now you know why I was angrier than that. And make a long story short, I didn't testify. Because I let it get back to them that you bring me into this, guess what? I'm going to tell the truth as to what went on here. Nobody wants to hear the truth.
Right.
And I wouldn't have blown the case out of the water and gave up cops or nothing like that.
Right.
I would have told them the real motive, and I would have told them things that we saw that the district attorney's office dumped. We got a prominent senator meet with the wise guys. We put the reports in and pictures. It went to the paper shredder. Mm-hmm. We didn't say nothing, but I would have definitely muddied up the waters for the defense, and it was best that they didn't bring me in. And here I am today, old, crippled, bald, ugly, with the coming out of all the wise guys, Sammy the Bull. Mm-hmm. I was in his house once, by the way. Didn't know it was his house, but I was there. Michael Francisi. I know a lot of these people's associates. I know Michael Francisi's boss. Okay.
You talking about Carmine Persico?
No, Andrew Russo.
Oh, Andrew Russo. Okay.
He's now passed on.
All right. Yeah.
See, I don't know these people I know them because I know them on a social level, and I was in his house. They're very nice people. You know, I saw the family side of them. You know, I
Right.
didn't do business with them. Uh,
And that's two very different sides. I try to tell people that because people are like, oh, you know, this guy, you know what he did? I'm like, look, I didn't know him in that aspect. I knew him in the aspects of, you know, I interviewed him on my show. That's how I know him. That's the confines of how I can judge him. I can't judge him for what he done in other parts of his life.
this is my humble opinion. I'm no tough guy. I'm not a wise guy. I consider myself, I'm not an associate. I was an affiliate to all of this stuff.
Right.
When I go to the mob thing next week, my explanation of who I was and what I did, I'm an affiliate to this outside. I was affiliate outside this inside circle.
Right.
So I knew how it works. I knew how it goes on. I took their ways to the police department. You know, I take my ways. I do it all the time in my private life. One of the things that organized crime taught me, and this is one of the things that a mafia boss, I don't know if they violate this rule. You never look at someone's sister, mother, daughter, wife, except with proper intentions. Okay. For instance, are you married?
Yes.
Okay. If I came to your house to pick you up because we're going to a baseball game and you weren't there, when I go to your house and you say, oh, come on in, your wife is there. I got to go get a pack of cigarettes. I got to go someplace. Yeah. I'm not going to go in the house without you being there. Right. And I do that. I don't go in my brother-in-law's house or my sister-in-law if he's not home, unless God forbid it's an emergency, of course.
Right.
That's just the way I roll. And organized crime, if you study it, when it first started, it was very, very good. Yeah. And it's human nature made it get out of hand.
Yeah.
It started in
principles and the values and everything that they had. I mean, there was a lot of good there. I mean, but like you said, nature takes its course. And
yeah, my grandmother grew up in Sicily in Castellamare di Golfo, which is the birthplace of Italian organized crime. Mm-hmm. It was originally called Il Mano Negri, the Black Hand. Then it changed to Mafia. Then when it came to America, it was Cosa Nostra, that's the term that they use now. And then you hear other guys say the life. But I have a book coming out called The Revenge Served Cold. Okay. It will be released sometime this summer. I'm in the editing phase of it, and I'm looking for that right deal for somebody to put it out there for me. It's a very entertaining book. It's a lot of fiction, but there's a lot of fact underneath it. Things that I see, things that I saw, things that I know, and a little bit of sex in there. You got to have a little sex. A little bit of violence. Violence is all over the place. Okay.
You sold a copy to me already. Sex and Violence.
Well, there you go. And at the end, I just cut you off and leave you hanging because I want you to look for part 2.
There you go.
So that's my organized crime way.
Always got to be, you always got to think about the next step, not just a step you're on, 2 steps ahead, 3 steps ahead.
You have to focus beyond, 1 step beyond. These are all the things that I learned. A Lucchese wise guy, I made a lot of money one time from a lawsuit. And this guy says, that's beautiful, buddy. He says, so here's what I want you to do. You ate good today. Fill your belly. Tomorrow, get up and stay hungry. Don't get complacent. I never forgot that. He's a very good friend of mine. You know, but so there's a lot of good things. I know cops are going to be pissed off at me for coming out with these stories and whatever. But you know what? I'm me. I don't care. I have balls. There's a lot of guys out there that they have to squat to pee. That's not me. You know what I mean? I tell it like it is. If you don't like it, sorry, buddy. You want me to sugarcoat it? Go to a bakery. Right. They put cream on your donut.
Well, we've went about an hour and a half here. And the fact that, you know, we could probably do another hour and a half, if not longer, on that case about the sanitation controlled by organized crime. I'm going to try to get you back on here pretty soon with you and your partner, do a double.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting. I really enjoyed that documentary. And just kind of give people some insight on that, because that involved a lot of heavy people that I'm sure a lot of people would recognize the names of. So, Lou, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you coming on the show.
Well, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
When
tell the
my
story.
partner will tell the other half, you'll hear. See, the documentary is the actual facts of the case.
Right,
But talking to us, we're going to tell you how we got to get those facts,
right.
which is, we look. Am I a super cop? No. I just have a God-given ability to talk. There's a
Mhm.
lot of guys out there that I'm going to be interviewing with Bill Steele, who I have the utmost respect for him. He says, he banged around the same streets that I patrolled.
Yeah,
I might have run into him for all I
might
know.
have, might have.
But he mentions the mistakes he made. And you know what? I don't hold it against him. I told him, and I'll tell these wise guys, you said you did this, and this yesterday. Okay, I believe you. I worry about how you talk to me today and how you will treat me tomorrow. That it doesn't matter what your past is. We all have a past.
100%.
And I'm not here. I'm not the guy to judge. I'd rather make a friend than an enemy.
And William Steele is a great guy. He let me room with him. We went down there for a movie premiere in December. He let me bunk with him in his room. I will say, if I gotta throw a shot here, man, that guy can snore. I had to hang my head out the window to get some quiet, and that's in New York, by God. So you let you know how much that man can snore. I said, I don't know how people didn't beat you to death in prison if you snored like that. Lord
Well,
have mercy.
I told him, listen, if this relationship I have with him doesn't work, doing these podcasts together, and I'm going to bring up some very interesting people, I have to go back to doing porn again.
Well, Lou, have safe travels when you go to the Mob
All right,
Summit. I
brother.
hope that goes well, and definitely going to be getting you back on here in a few weeks
You
to
have
go.
my number. If there's anything I could ever do to help you, you have a question about something that you don't know about that I could qualify for you, you got my number. You pick up the phone, you call me. It's an absolute pleasure. I know you had a million problems where you had to do what you had to do, and you paid the price, and you were found innocent. And what happened to you can happen to anyone.
Anybody? Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
look at and look at Donald Trump.
Oh God, what they're doing to him is insane right now. But you want to know, it's as much as they're trying to paint him as this, tyrant and this bad guy, is having the exact opposite effect, which is what I hoped it would have done. And it's making him more popular. It's making him the anti-hero that can rise above.
My fear is they're going to try every alternative, and God forbid they'll try to take his life.
Yeah. I'm
That's my fear.
hopefully it don't happen, God forbid, but I'm with you on that.
So another plug. I
he's
did a
throwing out.
narcotics case for him in his hotel in 1989. We could talk about that at a later date. It was nothing major,
Yeah.
but I got bigger accolades from. I never met the guy. I know his niece.
Right.
I've gone to his hotels and stayed there on the arm.
Wow.
Free.
Nice.
Okay. He gave me more respect than the NYPD did. See, NYPD, you do 100 things right, nobody remembers. Do one thing wrong, nobody forgets. You're only as good as your last mistake. And that's sad.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Hollywood Wade. That was Lou Balestrieri. Lou, I can't wait to have you back. It's been a pleasure talking to you, my friend. And again, safe travels to the Mob Summit.
Pleasure's mine, brother. God bless you. Stay well, and I'm always here for you.
Thank you, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.